What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Today is July 11th, 2019. If you are listening or watching, you are listening or watching to the Marcelin Brothers podcast. Hello. How's everybody doing? How's my MB crew doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, you see a different face than you haven't seen before in the past. It is not Marvin, it is not Christopher, but it is Miss Desiree. So before we get started, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what we're doing today?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Desiree. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm one of a lot of siblings. I'm also Harry's sister, little sister-in-law, and I'm just excited to be on this my first ever podcast ever in this world, ever.
So Desiree is one of the MBPers and she listens a lot. And all of a sudden, I had a crazy random idea of thinking, hey, you want to be on the podcast? And she said yes. So today we are going to be doing one of our Dear Ophelia podcasts today. And I figured that it might be good to have a woman perspective on the topic that we'll be talking about today. Again, as a review for my MBP crew who haven't listened to a Dear Ophelia podcast, Dear Ophelia essentially is my advice that I am giving to Ophelia. And it can range from anything and everything in life. And it's just my opportunity to be able to share some words to my daughter so that one day when she does listen to this, she'll be able to hear the advice that I have for her. Last Dear Ophelia podcast, we ended up having a topic called Embrace Your Assertiveness. This was part of a 8-part story called 8 Lessons a Father Can Teach His Daughter by Alexandra Gikas. So one of the things that I wanted to do today is go on to lesson number 2, which is called Seek Out Healthy Relationships. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before. I'm going to read out this part. I'll kind of give my advice. And I think this will be a little different this time because we're going to have Desiree kind of talk about her perspective on what we'll be talking about, especially since, she'll be able to say this from a woman's perspective. So, Ophelia, my advice to you is seek out healthy relationships. Research certainly shows that the old saying is true. One of the best things a man can do for his children is to love their mother, Dr. Weinschnecker says. Modeling a good, respectful, and loving relationship does have an important effect on children. Another way a father can help his daughter build strong relationships in the future is by teaching her to be herself, Dr. Nielsen says, and making statements such as, do not change yourself like a chameleon to try to suit the man you're with, and there's a pot, for every lid there's a pot, you just have to be yourself. Finally, fathers should be as direct as possible when speaking with their daughters. You have got to teach her to communicate clearly with you because that is how she's going to learn to communicate with all the men in her life, adds Dr. Nielsen. So that is step number 2 out of the 8-part series. So when I'm reading this, Ophelia, and the advice that I want to give you is you are going to learn what you see. And based on what you see and based on what your surroundings are, you are going to naturally emulate that. There is a natural nurture versus nature concept when it comes to life. And a lot of this stuff you will see, it'll just be about who you are and it's just nature. But a lot of that stuff are going to be things that you learn. So the first relationship that you're really ever going to be able to see and concentrate on is the relationship between you and your mother. And one of the things when I read this, I definitely think this is true. And this is one of the things that I have to make sure that as a father figure in your life, that I am showing you essentially, how things should be between a man and a woman. I think the line that says one of the best things a man can do for his children is to love their mother. That is one thing that I want to make sure, Ophelia, that 100% is that, Lee and I, your mom, love each other so much. And the fact that we loved each other so much, we wanted to make sure that we had you just to be able to show our love. And just it'll be interesting. And I've told you about the way that your mom and I were able to meet each other. We were always lovers that were always had bad timing until finally we were able to finally connect just right. And with Leah, like I told you in the first episode, she is the rock. She is the boss of the household. And I say that teasingly, but I also say that in all actuality. It's one thing for me to go to work, come home, and concentrate on, trying to support the family, but your mother does the same thing and then some. In her head, she's trying to figure out how to make sure that we're all spending time with each other, that we're all making sure that we are doing what we need to do, being able to fit in things from work, schedules, fitting in extracurricular activities. She's the one that makes the household run. And very similar to what I saw growing up with my mom and seeing my mom, seeing, grandpa and grandma, is that, grandma is the one that essentially does that in our house. So, it's very important to me that you see how much I care for your mom and that you realize that that first relationship and the way that I do care about her is something that I hope that you'll be able to find one day. And hopefully when you are seeing the way that we interact, that we are able to show the love that we have for each other. And hopefully when you see that in us, that will give you an opportunity to be able to understand what you should look for one day when eventually you will find somebody that you care for, and you'll find somebody who you have feelings and relationships for, and you'll find that right special person. So I definitely think that being able to figure out what a healthy relationship is, it's going to be something that, you're going to think millions and millions of times. The first time you meet somebody, you're going to feel a certain way, and then something's going to happen, and then you may have to do it again. But no matter what relationship that you're in, you just have to make sure that you remember to be you. Because at the end of the day, as long as you're you are that strong, independent woman that I know you are and that your mother and I are raising you to be, you're going to find somebody who's going to be able to complement that and to be able to complete that. Don't ever feel that you need to, be a lesser of a person or more of a person just so that you can find the right person. You'll find the right person by making sure that you are who you are. And when you are who you are, you're going to find that right person who is going to love and care for you for who you are. And you're not going to have to do anything to change. Just like how it is with your mom and I, she is who she is. And that is what I like about her. That is what I love about her. She doesn't need to be somebody different because, the woman that I fell in love with is the woman that your mother is. And you'll realize that one of these days when you kind of look back, as long as you continue to be the person that you were when you first met your significant other, of course, you're going to grow and you're going to mature. And as you are with your significant other, you guys will grow together. But always remember who you were and always stick by that and don't feel like you need to change. And don't be afraid to be direct. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to, clearly let the other person know who you are, what you want, and what you're looking for, because you want somebody who is going to be able to handle that, and you want somebody who won't feel intimidated by that. And hopefully that'll be one thing that, as you see mom and I speak to each other, you'll be able to get the right foundation for that as well. So again, seeking out healthy relationships is so important because the people who you're going to meet in life, some of those individuals are going to be great, but some of those people aren't the right people. And you can't be afraid to trust your gut when if there's a certain person, whether it's your friend, whether it's a significant other, if it's not the right crowd, you don't need to be in that crowd. You don't need to feel like, oh, I'm not cool because I'm not hanging out with this person, or hey, I need to be in this crowd, so I've got to act a certain type of way. You be who you are. You stay true to who you need to be, and the right people will find you. And if there are people who don't like that, well, they're not your true friends, and they're not the true individuals you should be associated yourself with. So be true to yourself. Find who those healthy relationships are. You're going to learn, you know, not a phrase, but a saying that, you are who, the 4 or 5 closest of your individuals that you hang out with, that is a characteristic of who you are as an individual. So if you look at your best friends and you like what you see, and that's a good thing because that's going to be a reflection on yourself. But if you hang out with people and these are your close individuals and you don't really like what you see, then that could be, an opportunity for you to see who you really are, or, you know, you're going to be learning from those individuals. So you want to make sure that, your significant other, your best friends, you're going to have close girls that you hang out with all the time. You just want to make sure that those are the right people. Those people aren't fake. These individuals are the right type of people for you. And I think as long as you do that, you're going to be okay, because based on who your best friends are, you're going to attract a certain type of crowd. So you just want to make sure that the type of people that you affiliate yourself with are going to be the right types of people for you. That's my advice to you. I hope you take it, but I'll be very curious to see what you think, and as you grow up, I'll be curious to see how things turn out. What do you think, Miss Desiree?
I totally agree. Um, Ophelia, I know your personality. If it's anything like mine, it's going to be big. And people are going to be drawn to you. And the energy that you put out, people are going to, listen to your words because it's powerful. You just have to, like your father said, observe, see, okay, who is for you. But at the end of the day, if you don't like it, walk away. If you don't like it, stand on your ground and say what you got to say. And if they don't like it, it's just not meant to be. But your father is a great example of what a man should be and what you should look for in a man, the way he treats your mother, the way he treats you, the way he treats his mother. So you just got to always remember that's what I want in life. That's who I want, even though that's your dad, but he's a great example of what a man is supposed to be in a household. So yes, whatever your daddy say, listen to him. But
What do you think, Desiree, about, the, as a, young woman, as a mature woman, about, what this says in the article about one of the best things a man can do for his children is to love his mother. And, how does that affect you as who you are as a woman? And, what information can you share with Ophelia that will help her with that?
okay, well, me growing up, my mother was a single mother. It's like she did marry my stepdad, but that was later on in life. So I always had my mother's love, and then but my example was my grandmother and my grandfather's love, and the way he loved her and the way he provided for her. And they showed me, like, I never heard arguments. They had disagreements, but they taught us communication, they taught us love, they taught us truth and trust. So like, I believe when a man loves his wife, it it shows, it reflects in the child. Me, I grew up a little bit different. So I grew up with my mother's love, only my mother's love. So I didn't have that father to tell me, come here, daughter, I love you, or come here, daughter, this is the way to go. I had to find out for myself. So for Ophelia, it's best, I feel like she's where she needs to, like, God has put her in this position to where she'll be able to grow and understand, and she has that man that would show her unconditional love and say, daughter, I love you, because growing up I didn't have that. That answers the question.
So do realize, Ophelia, that your auntie also loves you very much, and that, we want to make sure that you are the best person that you can be. So again,
Yes.
make sure you seek out those healthy relationships. Make sure that you are able to trust yourself, be who you need to be. And I think as long as you do that, you're going to find the right people to surround you. I think, again,
Yes.
that just your personality is going to attract a certain type of individual, and
Hmm.
just go with the flow when it comes to that.
Yeah.
All right, Ophelia, it's been about 15 minutes, so this will be good night. Hopefully, you listen to the advice, and hopefully, MBP, this was another great Dear Ophelia episode. So again, MBPers, thank you so much again for tuning in on another episode of the Marston Brothers podcast. Miss Desiree, I think you did great on your first episode. Hopefully, we see more and
Thank
more of
you.
you. And again, for my
Yes.
MBP crew, if you are trying to find a way to contact myself or the M Cubed, please feel free to contact us at marslandbrothers@gmail.com. Or if you like what you hear, please feel free to subscribe to the Marsland Brothers podcast. We are in all of the podcast mediums you can think of. And with that being said, this weekend is going to be a fun weekend. Miss Desiree, I think we're going to be hanging out over at the beach doing a little family vacay, so that'll be fun. So I will see you then.
Yes. See you then.
All right, MVP, thank you again for supporting us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.